Welcome back to Citi Showcase. We're having a chat with Brigitte Dzogbenuku. She is the running mate to the flag bearer of the Progressive People's Party. We've been talking about her career, how she's learned through the years, and what she hopes to do for this PPP ticket. Keep watching. You are a barracks boy.
I am a
quote
barracks
unquote.
girl.
Sorry, barracks boy. I'm using boy in the neutral sense. So you lived in Burma camp?
Lived in Burma camp, lived in Apromdo, lived in Kamina barracks.
So it means that you understand some aspect of our history in terms of the coup d'etats. You know how
Terribly so.
you know what a gun can do to a person. You've seen that in real life. How has that shaped you growing up with soldiers?
It's a hard part of my life to think about. You can imagine, how old was I in 1979? Now I'm going to tell my age, aren't I? I'd rather not. But I was young.
But very conscious.
Very conscious. This was happening to my father on the day of the day after June 4th. For some reason, and I don't understand why now, but my father left Takrady, when Takrady then. He had just been transferred to Accra to become a directing staff at the Staff College. And we were still in Takrady. We had moved from he was a commanding officer in 2BN at the time. We had moved from the commanding officer's house to a house, let's say a halfway house, till we moved everything to Accra. And for some reason he left, and maybe my older siblings will be able to tell why he left the evening before. He left to Accra. The next morning, this was when it was all, we go sit down and all that, The soldiers came early in the morning, burst into the house, and were searching everywhere for him. These were
wow, junior officers.
Junior
ranks.
non-commissioned officers. And it was scary. My poor mother just kept telling them, he's not here. And it's a traumatic experience for me to remember, but I kept saying that he's not here. And they went, searched the room and all that, and left. But another traumatic experience for me.
So he was a senior?
Yes, he had just moved from being commanding officer to 2BN.
Wow.
And had been transferred to Accra. Now, next door to us was the family, the Soates. And I remember clearly that they came and seized, he was a major at the time, Major Soate, either at dawn or whatever. And as we stood in the kitchen, we had all locked up, and we stood in the kitchen and watched. Major Soate walked back from where the officers were with his hair all shaven.
Wow.
This would be, okay, I was 10 at the time. It was a very traumatic experience.
And it was very clear the soldiers had done that to him.
Yes. And my other experience of those times was 31st December 1981. I was in Form 1 at the time. I remember it was after first term, and we were just about to go back to school. And in the middle of the night, my father had to arrange quickly for them to get us out of the barracks and go and stay with my uncle in Medina, because we could hear the gunshots from Accra, from Burma camp.
Wow.
And, quickly they bundled all of us to take one or two things and let's get out of here kind of thing. So, yes, I remember those days. It's not something that will leave me. Not to mention the friends, and yesterday I said it in my speech, the friends of our fathers and the fathers of our friends who didn't
survive. Do you still maintain friendship with people from the Burma camp and the Takrady places?
They are my foundation. I've had messages from a lot of them. It's good to have people from when you were growing up. They know you. They saw you in the barest minimum.
Okay. So now this is very interesting. So you have a very interesting development. So you've been political too, because I remember a few months ago you organized certain things we've spoken about. Once you enter the public space to campaign for something, you have become political. But have you ever been partisan? As in, have you been? Yeah. I mean, there's a difference between political and being partisan. Have you been partisan in your past?
Briefly.
Briefly.
Briefly. And it was more in my village than in Accra, in the city. Because I wanted a certain change. So briefly, I have been. Yes.
You tried to run for office?
No. I just tried to support a political party that I thought would make a difference.
So why PPP?
Because PPP will make the difference for me. I think the one thing I've said on other interviews that there are several things with the PPP that appeal to me. The one thing is the discipline and the rule of law coming back into the system, because we find that is deeply lacking. But the other thing is, if you listen to all the other political parties, they talk about jobs. Everybody is talking about jobs. The NDC is talking about 1 million jobs. The NPP is talking about, and they are promising. They are promising, and we know that promises in our political sphere don't always come to pass. The PPP, however, through Dr. Indo, or the flag bearer of the PPP, has actually established a company or a business running in every district. So it's not a promise, it is something that exists. If things are run well, they grow. If they grow, there's only the possibility of employing more people. So it is not a promise. These companies exist. You hear people say, oh, he's the president that we will never have. And he's the president we will never have because we are all being partisan. We've all chosen our political parties like they are our favorite football teams. And they can do no wrong. And because we belong to this team, we must be part of the winning team. We are winners. And then what? What do the winners give us at the end?
Okay, so why are you guys then creating another football team to ask for our support? Why don't you come on a different platform?
You know, what I've noticed about the PPP is that we are not a football team, and now I can confidently say we are not another football team. I was never part of PPP until recently. And we are given the laxity to choose or to bring in other people from other football. We'll buy like they have been buying. The buying season just passed, right? But I'm not saying with money, with our ideas, with things we have to do. Come, let's put our ideas together. Anybody from anywhere. It is not your typical football team here.
Really?
We come together. We don't only come together to win.
But
we come together
so what binds? Every political party has a core ethos, something that it believes in. What does PPP believe in? Or what do you guys? What's your? I don't know. What's your ethos?
You see, it's the pragmatism of the party, which is addressing the need that people have. There is a need. There are certain things we've seen certain parties do. Are there really needs? Yesterday, I was speaking on a tree station, and I said, fata.
Meaning we do what is necessary before we do what is nice.
Yes.
Okay.
What we have seen happen is that the parties run along, and then just before the elections, they do near fata, and we look at it and say, oh, this is nice. And then again we go and vote football team style. There are serious needs of people. People want jobs so they can work, so they can pay fees. And even that, we don't want a fee paying. We want people to go to school. We are talking about free and compulsory education. These are things that people need. These are things that Ghana needs to develop with, not the superficial, fancy things.
But your flag bearer keeps saying you because you've created a job, and you've repeated that this morning, because he's a job creator. Is government's job creating jobs for people? I mean, yes, so Dr. Andrew has created factories or companies, which is good, we respect him for that. But is that what we want in a president? Because a government, some people say a government's job is not to create jobs.
What do the people want? It is what the people want. What do the people want right now? What do the people need right now? It's not what the government wants. The government should do what the people need. It should satisfy the people.
So have you asked the people what they want?
The
Before you are
people
telling
want
them
jobs. There are youth walking around who have out of university and unemployed. We know that.
But you must have the capacity to give them what they want. If you say they want jobs, and you know that a government's job is not to create jobs, wouldn't it be disingenuous to say, well, the people say they want jobs, so we will give them jobs?
Don't you create the climate in order that people are able to employ these people? The climate must be there. Now, if everything else that should enable the climate, power, policy, is not existing for people to be able to operate and therefore take people on, isn't that the role of the government to do?
So PPP will create the climate for people to get jobs.
Indeed.
But that's different from saying he will give people jobs. It's not the same thing.
He has the capability as well. He has the know-how. And you know, in saying so, Dr. Indom doesn't work in isolation.
Okay. So PPP is jobs.
It's not the only thing. They have a 10-point agenda. We're talking about jobs. We're talking about education. We're talking about health. We're talking about agric and industry. We're talking about, and the fundamentals have to be back in place. The rule of law, discipline. You know, there are all these things that have to come into play. And the PPP represents that for me. Frankly, there have been promises that have not been fulfilled for me. There are more people out of jobs and out of school. Look at our education. Education has almost gone to the, you know, let me not say it, but we are not doing very well that way. And when I say rule of law and discipline and ethics, look at what is becoming of our education system now, where even simple exams are leaking. You know, there are exam leakages year after year. The whole computerized system is messed up. You know, all these things have to be streamlined again. So it's not just, the jobs cannot stand in isolation. If you have the jobs and the other things are not put in place, it's not going to work. So there's a 10-point agenda that the PPP has. The people themselves must be able to be given a certain level of power to decide how they want their developments to go. Strengthen parliament, strengthen government, provide quality education, health. The people are not, if we're not healthy, how do we work? Listen, you talked about Clean Ghana now when I came in. And I told you what happened. We are still getting outbreak of cholera on a very large scale and people are dying. Cholera, honestly.